What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and today we got something a little bit different. This video is inspired by Pete Overzet. He put a video out on ship chasing last weekend where he just simply sat down and ran up a Best Ball Mania 3 draft. And as simple as that sounds, for guys that do a lot of draft content on their YouTube channels, we do it in front of live audiences. So it's a little bit different, right? So we're streaming, we're talking to the camera, we're making sure the stream is okay, we're talking with the live chat, we're talking with guests. And in the madness of all that, you don't have as much time to talk about strategy in terms of what players you want to pick, because if people in your chat hear that name, then they're going to be sniping you in the drafts. There's a lot of different things going on outside of me just wanting to hone in, talk strategy, exactly what I'm doing here. So we're going to do a little change of pace here. We're going to do just a Best Ball Mania 3 draft. I'm going to talk through my thoughts, strategy, player type stuff, strategy type stuff, all of that good stuff. So we're going to get into that right now. I'm going to join Best Ball Mania 3. If you enjoyed the video at any point in time, make sure to go down below, subscribe, leave a like. I will see you guys on the other side once this draft is full. Let's go.
Thirsty, trying to choose. I know I'm pretty cool. My nitty bag.
So we cut it ever so slightly close, and we are now on the clock. I still don't know where I'm from my camera, but we are now on the clock at the 104. And I'm going to get into it in a second. This really cool tool that one of Overzet's buddies made. But we know our player exposures up and down. And I have Jefferson and Jamar Chase as about a coin flip. I have 11% Jamar Chase. I only have 7%. I have 11% Justin Jefferson. I have 7% Jamar Chase, so I will be going Jamar Chase. And this tool is sweet because it shows you the exposures of every player that I've drafted, right? So it'll come up. It's like a poker sort of like overlay kind of app that's really cool. And I even have another one where you can put like the matchups of like week 17, week 16 on there if you want. I just have these blue exclamation points, which are pretty much, they're up there. If you have a player that's a really high pick and you're under 5% ownership on them, right? So like Dalvin Cook, you get an exclamation point, which means, hey man, you should probably try and get that up. Even if you're shorting the player, you probably want over 5%. So I am going to make a conscious decision to start drafting these guys with the exclamation points. You also have the guys in the other direction, where guys like AJ Brown, if he's over like 15% owned in the first like 3 rounds, he's somebody maybe I want to ease off of a little bit. So this is a really cool tool to guide me through the draft. Now hold on a second. Yeah, I just wanted to pause things to get his name real quick. But his name is Brick. It's like BRIC. We'll show the draft board. I know you guys like the draft board. And he makes really cool tools. So I'll make sure I'll link that down below. It's like, I believe like $25 a month, which is like a little bit hefty, but at the same time, I have no problem paying that price for somebody that is going to be in so many drafts this year. I understand it's not for everybody and it's pretty niche, but it is something that is worth putting out there as something that can kind of bring your best ball to that next level, or like your best ball game to that next level, because I'm already in like over 200 best ball drafts for the season, and when that happens, you keep falling into the same trap, picking the same players over and over and over again, and you want to know your exposures to each player so you can start to try and mix things up a little bit. Now with the Bengals, I'll usually start everybody on that team if I can trust myself not to get auto-picked, because that's a really dangerous game. But if you can make sure you don't get auto-picked, it's a good way to go. Now, we want to be aiming for a Bengals Bills stack at some point. So T is interesting here. I always have a tough time going T with Jamar Chase because it feels like such low-hanging fruit. I feel like everybody's going to be doing it. But I'm going to go Debo. I think that Debo and Jamar Chase is a combo I probably haven't had yet. And I love Debo. I think that he should probably be a back end of the first type of guy. I really don't buy the narrative that like Trey Lance is going to hold back the offense. I also don't buy the narrative that Ayuk coming into the mix out of the doghouse really changes much for Debo. I also don't buy that he's only good if he's rushing the ball. I think that he is just going to be a fine wide receiver. He's probably going to operate around 25% target share, win on efficiency, and have another like top 5 type season. I'm probably expecting like 18 to 19 points per game. Let me put the draft board back up. I know you guys love to have the draft board up. Did I start Raiders? Hold on, let me make sure I started Raiders. So I started, San Francisco, and then I got to start Raiders on the other side of that. Just so I kind of have I like starting players on both sides just so I can have all of my stacks and week 17 kind of all queued up. I'm trying to see if I recognize anybody in these chat or anybody in this lobby. Every time I join a Best Ball Mania 3 or any draft on Underdog, I'm pretty much trying to check out if I know anybody in there. So this is kind of a pretty normal like 0 RB start, but you can get kind of weird even with 2 wide receiver builds where I have been messing around where I'll go like Javonte here and then I'll go Hero RB, or you can go Javonte here and then go like with like ETNs, Breece Halls of the world, and even go like hyper fragile with 2 wide receivers up top, which is really fun. I will say Kamara's got an exclamation point, but I'm happy with that. Like I don't want any of Kamara. I guess if this guy takes Javonte, I'll just go with one of Keenan Allen or Mike Williams just because I have like no exposure to any of these guys here. But in a perfect world, I probably just go Javonte. And he takes Javonte. Okay, so we're going to have to go with a pretty true 0 RB team here. I think Connor is a fun debate. At this point, I think Connor should actually be a lot closer in ADP to Fournette and all those guys. But it doesn't feel great taking him here. So I'm just going to go Keenan Allen. It doesn't feel great at all, I'll be honest with you guys. But we'll go Keenan Allen. He's a guy that has an exclamation point that I should be picking more, so why not? And these are all guys that are in really juicy Week 17 matchups as well, where you have Chargers-Rams, you have San Francisco versus the Raiders. So we'll star up all the Chargers. This is literally what I always do. It's honestly pretty tedious, but it is just kind of a habit I've fallen into. But it's really dangerous, right? My next guy that's queued up is Joe Burrow. If I have an auto pick at pick 45, I'm taking Burrow 30 picks ahead of ADP because I'm not sorting out the queue. I refuse to do that, even though I probably should if I'm doing something like this. But there's 55 players in there. I refuse to do anything among those lines. Let me pull the draft board up. We have a while until our next pick. By the way, fellas, if you are new here and you want to get in on the fun, this is Best Ball Mania 3. There are $10 million in prizes, $2 million to first, $1 million to second, $1 million to the regular season winner. There is money out the ass in this tournament. It is $25 to enter. Things are just picking up now, but I will be trying to max enter this offseason. So I think I'm already at like 40. This is my 43rd entry that you can do max 150. I will be max entering it. So if you want to get in on the fun, try and get a shot at life-changing money on Underdog. It's Underdog Fantasy. I'll have it down below in the description. I'll have it down below in the comments. It's going to be a link that'll just take you right to Underdog to use my promo code. Use promo code RON, and they will match your deposit all the way up to $100. So if you deposit 25, they'll match 25. You deposit 50, they'll match 50. All the way up to $100. It's a great deal. You hop on there, use promo code RON, tell them I sent you, and get in on Best Ball Summer. So we have Keenan Allen go, Kamara, Mike Williams, Josh Allen here. I'm just trying to see if anything sort of out of the blue. Geez, Zeke at 35 is a tough pill to swallow, my man. It goes Herbert here in the early 4th. Herbert's been one that I've been wrestling with where I haven't been getting any kind of exposure to him at all, besides on the Superflex draft. So they have Superflex puppy drafts out right now, which I will be trying soon. Or, not I'll be trying soon. I have like 11 in. But they're a really fun way to get exposure to players you wouldn't get on Best Ball Mania 3. I can't justify this price of Herbert here. I don't see why Herbert is 37 and like Lamar is 52 and Kyler is 61. I have them all pretty much in the same tier this year. So I just can't take Herbert. But in the Superflex puppy drafts, he is the 102 and Kyler and Lamar are like the 104, 105. At that point in time, I'm fine just taking Herbert at 102, following with ADP, getting my Herbert exposure in there when the opportunity cost is 102 versus 104 versus like early 4th versus like 6th round, if that makes sense. All right, so now we're looking at a pretty much still a 0 RB build. I'm down to just keep leaning into wide receiver. I do think Kittle would be interesting here. It's going to be a little bit of a reach on Kittle. Man, it's very close between Deontay and Kittle. Because I think in a 0 RB build, we ideally want to have an elite onesie position, which would be Kittle. And he kind of is that last elite tight end for me. But Deontay usually doesn't get this far. Because I kind of hate the rest of the wide receivers, if I'm being honest. I'm gonna take a gamble. Deontay's the only wide receiver on this list that I think is really interesting to me. I got to be honest, at this 4-5 turn, once we get to these wide receivers of Allen Robinson, Gabe Davis, Bateman, Cooks, Juju, pretty much all the way through Amon-Ra St. Brown, Elijah. Like, once you get to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Elijah Moore, I think all these wide receivers are great values. But I think Amari Cooper through Allen Robinson is a range that I really don't love. I mean, you can see with the ownership as well, 5%, 6%, 8%. I'm not taking a lot of these guys at all, to be honest. I think that they all project very similarly to this range of like Amon-Ra St. Brown through, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown through like Thielen. You can even, I'd even throw Ayuk, Burks. I would even throw Lockett in there. I don't know why he's this low. There's just crazy value. There's honestly crazy value at wide receiver this year until things kind of get more efficient. Damn, Kittle went. Don't worry, we'll get back to the draft board in a second, man. I wanted an elite tight end bad. I think Breece Hall is interesting here. I'll take Mahomes, just take Mahomes this far past his ADP, I think at pick 52. So that would be like 6-8 picks. I'll take Mahomes 8 picks past his ADP. Breece Hall is interesting. Gabe Davis is kind of interesting just to be on the other side of that Cincinnati stack, but I'm not married to it. I do think Lamar is kind of interesting in a build like this, but I don't think I'm just going to take Lamar straight up over Mahomes at such a discount for Mahomes. It's a tough I don't even really know which way I'm going to go, if I'm being honest. Mahomes, Breece, Gabe Davis is really tough. What is this guy going to do? Is he going to get autoed? So he goes Gabe Davis. So now we're staring down Mahomes and Breece Hall. I don't really want to go Mahomes because I think that there's a lot of fun opportunities here where I can go Burrow to stack with Chase. I can go Trey Lance to stack with Debo. I'm not sure I want to get locked into Mahomes here. He's like, Mahomes in the 5th round, 8 picks past his ADP is very interesting though. I'm going to go Breece. Let's go Breece. And he will just be our first running back in a 0 RB build, and we're going to get disgusting on our back on our other 5 running backs pretty much. I'm trying to think through pretty much how a team like this is going to look here. But it's going to be 0 RB. We're going to try and end up with 6 wide receivers through 9 picks. So we need 2 more wide receivers so we have 3 rounds. Or no, we have 4 rounds here. 2 of them need to be wide receivers, and 2 of them probably need to be quarterback and tight end, which is a little bit ugly. So I'm thinking through round 9, 2 more wide receivers, no running backs through round 9, and then a quarterback and a tight end or something like that. I think mandatory 2 wide receivers round 6 through 9, possibly a running back. Pretty much those other 2 picks can be running back, tight end, quarterback is pretty much how I am looking through that right now. Yeah, of course. The guy right after me took Mahomes, which I think is a fine pick. I probably should have taken Mahomes in hindsight to get an elite onesie in there. I don't know. I already have a pretty fat exposure to Mahomes. I have like a 10% exposure. By the way, I probably should have said this at the top, but 8% exposure is being right on par. So 1 divided by 12 is like 8.3%. If you're drafting a player 1 of every 12 drafts, and you're about on the market. So if you're over that, you are high on the player. If you're under 8%, you're lower on the player. So I'm Mahomes at like 10%. I'm ending up with a good chunk of him because people are fading him into oblivion, which I think is kind of funny. Or not fading him into oblivion. He's still going like the 5th round. But I did see like I see a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people on YouTube say, well, Mahomes doesn't have his usual targets anymore. He doesn't have Tyreek Hill, so he's not going to be as good, which I think is pretty silly if you ask me. Now, obviously, he's not going to be the unanimous QB1, but he's very firmly in the mix with Herbert, Lamar, Kyler. Like, just because he doesn't have as good as weapons as he always has had doesn't mean he's not in the mix with those guys. Every time that he stepped foot on the field, he's been amazing for fantasy. He's been amazing in real life. He, even with having maybe the worst receiving core of his career, he's still a threat to throw over 40 touchdowns. I won't be fading Mahomes. Mahomes is just different. I don't think that we can just say that Mahomes is a product of his receivers. And on top of that, he has Kelsey, who's going to be amazing. He has Juju, who's like okay. He has Sky Moore, who's going to be fine. McCole Hardman, like he has a fine supporting cast. Without Tyreek Hill, I think that he is still a lock to be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy. What else we got? We got Russ and Burrow off the board, so sadly won't be able to complete a Burrow to Jamar Chase stack. We're probably looking at Trey Lance at some point in time. I will be targeting him. And good thing I said I want to take 2 wide receivers from round 6 through round 9. We're heading into that spot right now that I like with like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Elijah Moore, all of those guys. I might even double tap wide receiver. Let's see what's on the board real quick. So we're up at 69. I have to be honest with you guys. I think Chris Godwin's like pretty much off my board at this point. I went through redraft ranks earlier or over the weekend. I have Chris Godwin as my, I think, wide receiver 35. Like I have him like down here. He's not somebody I'm interested in. It seems like so Elijah Moore and Amon-Ra St. Brown go there. Dude, if we end up with Juju Smith-Schuster after passing on a falling Mahomes, I'm gonna cry. Okay, so he takes Juju anyways. Okay. Wow, there's nothing good on the board right now. Jeez, dude. Do I go Amari? I don't really want Amari. London, Thielen, Dillon, Mike Thomas, Hopkins. Huh. Let's go London. I already have a ton of London, but he just feels too good to not pass up on. I just like him as a bet more than Amari Cooper. Like I'm not really into Amari Cooper at all. I think at this next pick I would probably even prefer I would love to go Hopkins on this next pick if we could. I think Hopkins is a great I think he's a great fit for a 0 RB team where you have so much wide receiver firepower that you can afford that 6-game suspension. And I haven't been, as you guys can see, I haven't had 3% ownership. I've kind of been fading him recently, but I do want to dip back in. If you're getting, 76 guy, Overzet was talking about it on his video, but he is somebody where if he didn't have the suspension, he'd be going at that, round 3 area next to Keenan Allen. So you're getting a huge discount. It's best ball, so it's kind of already prioritizing end of season production. And on teams like this, where we started with Jamar Chase, Debo, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, Drake London, you can kind of afford that. Damn, Hopkins goes. I will take Amari Cooper if he gets to us here. If not, I think I'll even take Josh Jacobs. I don't love taking Josh Jacobs here, but what would that be? About like 14 picks past ADP. There's really nobody, fellas, where I'm picking at 76. Jacobs is a 62.5 guy. There's really nobody 12 picks past ADP that I won't take a swing on. So this is going to be Amari Cooper if he's still there, but if not, I'll take Jacobs. It does suck that we missed out on a quarterback and a tight end, but I'll just have to hit that when we come back around. Come on, what do we got? What do we got? I would prefer you go anybody but Cooper so I can just keep taking wide receivers, but I don't hate taking Jacobs here. What is he doing? Is he going to get autoed Amari? Wow, so he gets autoed Russell Gage. All right, so let me get Amari Cooper. Thank God I didn't have to sit here and take Jacobs, even though I think that would have been a great value and decent for the team. It's just that I already took that detour for Breece Hall. If I didn't take Breece Hall, then Jacobs would have been a smash there. I just don't. You don't want to go 0 RB and then allocate too many early round picks to running backs. Like we can only take so many detours away from wide receiver before we don't have as much of an advantage there as you'd like in a 0 RB team. Like the whole point of a 0 RB team is to just smash other people in every position that's not named wide receiver. All right, so now we have our 6 wide receivers. We're pretty much locked in. I'm down to pretty much what I've been kind of getting more open to recently is I've been wanting those 18th and 17th round picks to just be running backs across the board. Sometimes tight end. If I have an elite tight end, then that's fine as well. Wow, so this just hasn't been in the upright corner the entire time. Let me flash back to the draft board. That's my bad. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so these 17th, 18th round picks, I always want them to be running backs. So you can just get, like, random running backs out there where you get, like next year's Justin Jackson, Rashad Penny's, all of that, and you get access to a lot of upside there. But I think that there's also utility in taking those last 2 picks or just, like, one of them, right? Something here in this, like, round 16 to round 18 range to stack with your quarterback. I'm going to make a video on it, I think, one of these next few weeks, but something that was really strong last year was stacking your quarterback or just incorporating wide receiver 4s into your stack. So whoever like the 4th wide receiver off the board is for an offense, incorporating them into stack. So if I have Zach Wilson, I'm taking Braxton Berrios. If I'm taking I'm trying to think of people with like fun wide receiver fours. Who's another guy? I'll just Mahomes. You can go with like McCole Hardman. But he doesn't go that late. With Hurts, you can go with somebody like even like a Quez Watkins. Trey Lance, you can go with like Jawan Jennings or Danny Gray. Brady, you can go with Scott Miller or like Tyler Johnson. Dak, I don't think you can really do it with Dak. Russell Wilson, you can with like Hamler. Burrow gets dicey. Kyler, you can do it with AJ Green. Herbert, you can do it. I don't think it would be Josh Palmer, and I don't know who their wide receiver 4 is, so that one's not great. Josh Allen's a fun one where you can go Isaiah McKenzie, but there's a lot of guys you want to be thinking about in that like 16, 17, 18 range where they're just super obscure wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 guys on their teams, and they're going to correlate with your quarterback spike weeks all throughout the season, which is going to give you a little bit of an extra push on a week-to-week basis. And if an offense as a whole pops off and you have I'm trying to think what would it be, like an auxiliary option, that sort of supercharges your lineup in a really fun way. So we're up here in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 picks. I guess we're eyeing up Stafford. I definitely do. Damn, so Hawkinson's gone as well. I would have loved to go Hawkinson. I'll take Clyde there if he's available. I'll also take Treylon Burks if he's there available, which sucks because I would have loved this to turn out a little bit different. Also, I think Dawson Knox is kind of fun. I don't like Dawson Knox, but I do think he's fun in best ball when you have a Bengal. If you have a Bengal or Buffalo stack, I think that he is actually a pretty fun way to get exposure to him, because I have no interest in a naked Dawson Knox, but a stacked Dawson Knox is a fun idea. Dude, if Clyde's gonna be here, we'll be taking him. So this is gonna be Clyde or Treylon Burks. I can't pass up on either of them. We'll come back around and hope for one of Stafford, Dallas Goedert, Dawson Knox. So Sky Moore goes. This is gonna have to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire on our 0 RB team. Not another one, but a running back like 15 picks past his ADP. Again, I'm gonna let the draft room sort of guide me to where I go. Again, I'm drafting like hundreds of teams, so I do kind of use players falling way past their ADP as a way to diversify. So we had Clyde Edwards-Helaire there, a guy who I don't even love and I don't have a ton of. I can't remember what his exposure was at when I took him, but I know it couldn't have been that high. But we get him there, 15 picks past ADP, so he's going to be a unique draft pick where not a lot of people are going to have him that late. Damn, Stafford goes. So quarterback is looking extremely rough for us. This might end up being a 3 quarterback build. This might end up being like a 6 running back. I think this has to be for sure 6 running backs. We're hoping that we can cut it off at 2 tight ends, but I think it's probably going to be a 3 quarterback thing. I'm trying to look through. I don't think Derek Carr makes a ton of sense. We have a Sam Fran guy, so I guess Carr could make sense. Yeah, I think we're only going to get 1 onesie to 2. We'll see, though. Okay, so Knox goes. I think this has to be Goddard. Yeah, we'll take Goddard here. I think that's fun. He's not really stacked to anybody, but he is a tight end that I like targeting. He's a guy who shows up really well in a lot of those metrics, like yards per out run, targets per out run. He pops in all of them. If that Eagles offense ends up being what it could be this year, he gets extremely interesting. So Eagles, and then who are they playing? The Saints. I have all these on top of the dome. You can put them on this like overlay app that I have here, Sports HUD, which is by Brick. You can add it, but I don't see that it helps a ton because I just want to know. I just want to know I just want to know what players correlate with my players, if that makes sense. Like, I already have their week 17 schedules memorized, so I don't think that an overlay of it would help me a ton. But let's go back to draft board. I know you guys love seeing this view. We have Kenneth Walker go. We have Robert Woods go. We have Devin Singletary go. Trying to think through kind of how I want to end this team. So we're going to end up with 2 tight ends. We're going to end up with 6 running backs. So that's 8. Then we have 10 spots among quarterbacks and wide receivers. So that's probably going to have to end up being... I might even cut off running back at 5, man. When I did the research for the Underdog 101 video, 0 RB teams with only 5 running backs actually did pretty well. And I think you could probably get away with doing that with Breece Hall and Clyde's up top. So I am thinking through. I do think we'll see kind of what happens at quarterback, but I'm already sort of feeling a 3 quarterback build just because we haven't gotten one through 9 rounds. I'm trying to think through it though. I think a 3-5-8-2 is interesting, right? So that would be 18. So 3-5-8-2 is interesting, and I think a 3-6-7-2 is also interesting. In a perfect world, 0 RB teams for me, I would like to go 6-8-2. But this is already kind of this is like an out of character 0 RB team where we took a running back in round 5, so it doesn't technically qualify as 0 RB. But I don't know what else I would call it. I could definitely treat it with Breece Hall being my hero running back. That's definitely on the table. I actually don't mind. I would have to take some running backs sooner rather than later to cut it off at 5 running backs, but I am open to that idea. So we're up here in 5 picks. I'm going to switch the screen. Aaron Rodgers would just be a smash pick here. All the people in front of me have quarterbacks, so that's actually pretty interesting. We're also staring down Garrett Wilson, who I have a shit ton of exposure on, but what would that be? 12 picks past his ADP. I'll be taking that all day. Same thing with Melvin Gordon. Who are people even taking right now to the point where like there's so much value on the board? I don't know. I'm trying to see if anybody's doing anything stupid. I think Tua's like a 20 pick reach here. Also, shout out to all these guys in this draft room. Not a single badge in sight. So I think a lot of buffoonery going on. Gallup, what's his ADP? 118. Okay, that's not a bad reach. Tim Patrick had to be a little bit of a reach. Yeah, everyone's just reaching all over the place, which is fun. It's causing a lot of value to come down here. Let me get Rodgers. Come on. I don't know why Chase Edmonds is highlighted here. It highlights stacks, but I don't think I have any Miami guys on my team. I could be wrong. Cousins goes. Okay, so we're screaming. Okay, so I think we can actually go 2 quarterbacks now. I think we can kind of go with a 2-5. I think we can go 2-6-8-2. We can go 2-5-9-2. We're still open to 3 quarterbacks if it needs to happen that way, but I don't think it will. Packers and Vikings that week. Would be nice to actually start completing stacks now. But for instance, with Rodgers, you have Justin Jefferson at wide receiver 1, Thielen at wide receiver 2, Osborne at wide receiver 3. A fun dart throw would be like Amir Smith-Marset, wide receiver 4 for the Vikings. Oh, never mind. I meant the Packers. But for the Packers, that would be Lazard, Watson, Watkins. Yeah, Romeo Dubes would be a really fun one. Same thing with Randall Cobb as well. All right, so we're going to be up here at 124. I do think Justin Fields would be fun. If I go Justin Fields, I think that I could just cut it off there with Rodgers and Fields. So that's going to be our first goal, is just going to be pairing Rodgers with Fields here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's pair him with Fields, and now we're fine at quarterback. We don't have to worry about another quarterback, and I know that they both have Week 14 buys. I do not care. The idea is that your team's so dominant that if it's going to win at all, it can withstand having a 0 in the bye week, and then also on top of that, it's not like it's week to week, or it's not like it's head-to-head scoring week to week. It's just on the aggregate, and people sort of forget that the rest of the season you're going to have a fully optimized quarterback lineup, if that makes sense. All right, so we got Detroit on the other side. We have Chicago. Chicago is another fun one in terms of stacking wide receiver 4s, where you can go Mooney, Pringle. So like it doesn't have to be wide receiver 4, but just like wide receiver 3 or 4 that goes pretty late, like end of like the last round guy. I think Velus Jones is a fun one to stack with Fields. So now we'll kind of see what comes back around to us. I do think that Komet would be really fun to stack with Fields. I think so would Tanyan. Tanyan's been somebody that I've really been coming around on recently, where he is projected for, I believe. Let me show more of the draft board. That's my bad. Hold on. What the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, Tanyan. Tanyan's been somebody that I've been coming around on. I just took him in a Patreon Dynasty Startup League last night, but I kind of just realized that he's genuinely drawing live to lead that offense in receiving touchdowns. Like that's 100% in his range of outcomes. It's actually really interesting. I had a tweet about it last night, but Mike Clay, he does projections for ESPN. You guys know I love looking at his projections because his job is to make projections be as accurate, as conservative as possible. He's not trying to be a hero. Even with the lack of weapons for Aaron Rodgers, he has Aaron Rodgers projected for 37 touchdowns, second in the NFL. If I had to be honest with you guys, I think that's a little bit high. I think that would probably want it. I think I'd probably project it more in like the 30 to like 32 range. I think 37 is a lot. It's also pretty wild that he has him projected for 37 touchdowns this year, 37 passing touchdowns. And the leading touchdown score in terms of receiving touchdowns would be Allen Lazard and Christian Watson at 6 touchdowns apiece. So even in a passing offense projected for 37 passing touchdowns, he doesn't have anybody sort of emerging as this double-digit passing touchdown guy. Now, I think everybody in that passing offense sort of has upside to double-digit passing touchdowns, but I think Robert Tonyan as a tight end who operates there, who scored a bunch of touchdowns 2 years ago, is probably as good a bet as any to end up finishing as the leading touchdown scorer on that offense in terms of passing or receiving touchdowns. I can't remember how many he had, like 2 years ago? Tonyan, we'll say here. Yeah, 11 touchdowns. He can 1,000% have this season again. Like 52, like 5,510. I know that that's like crazy touchdown efficiency, but I think when you're catching passes from Aaron Rodgers, he's already had this before. They don't have Devontae Adams anymore to take away a lot of that red zone work. I think he's really interesting, man. I also saw him. He was at that tight end U camp where all the fellas are at. So yeah, I mean, there's no other tight ends on the board that I'm really even remotely interested in. Let's go Tonyan, man. A nice stack to Aaron Rodgers, and I think that is fun. So now we are done at onesie positions. We sort of really landed that plane there where I thought that we were screwed at the onesie positions. I thought we were going to have to go 3 quarterbacks. Nope, we can go 2 quarterbacks. I thought we were going to have to go 3 tight ends. Nope, we're good at 2 tight ends. So that's perfect. I will say, in terms of what we're going to be doing at running back and wide receiver, I think that this can actually still just be a classic 2-6-8-2 0 RB team. I think that is definitely something in the range of outcomes. Ideally, the 2 pass catchers are Packers and Bears. I could even wait all the way through Velus Jones and Romeo Doubs as my final 2 picks on this team. I think that could be fun as well. If nothing at wide receiver is really talking to me that nice, I'm not really super interested in Van Jefferson. Would love Rashad White here. I am literally begging for Rashad White to make it like 17 picks past ADP to me. Please let me get Rashad White. If not Rashad White, though, I'm always trying to sort of think through backup plans. If this guy steals my soul and goes Rashad White, I guess it would have to be Darrell Henderson, but I would be pretty upset. Come on, brother. Don't do this to me. Come on. Come on. All right, let's go. That's huge. That's huge. All right, so now we have Rashad White. All of our running backs are hilariously past ADP besides Breece Hall. Even though I think Breece Hall's ADP as a whole is just wrong. Like I would have him ahead of like Zeke and all of those guys. I would have him ahead of ETN as well. So we'll star up Tampa Bay, and then we'll star up the Panthers, and I'll get you guys back on the draft board. But that's fun. So now we have a 0 RB team. We don't have to allocate more than 4 players to the onesie positions. Also, feel free to let me know in the comments if you guys would stretch it out to like 3 quarterbacks or 3 tight ends in this build. I think I just barely got it in terms of 2 quarterbacks in the window and a semi-elite tight end in Dallas Goedert. But yeah, now we have all our stacks set up. We'll go back to draft board. We are at 2-6-8-2. We have 3 running backs. We have 6 wide receivers. So this needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This needs to be 3 running backs and 2 wide receivers here. Again, I actually love the idea of going like Velus Jones, Romeo Doubs here in these last 2 picks. But if something falls that looks nice, I'm open to that as well. I'm trying to think of, would there be any fun running back targets from these guys' teams? No, nothing for the Packers. I guess Khalil Herbert would be sort of fun if he's on the board, but I'm not married to that. I definitely do need to find a way to stack a bear, though. So I think Khalil Herbert and like Velus Jones would actually be a really fun way to get positive win rates on your stack. I want to make a video on this very soon, though. The thing about the wide receiver 4, because I think that people don't understand is that I've been looking at the numbers, dude. And if you just stack like your quarterback 1 with their wide receiver 1, that's not even guaranteed to improve your win rate. It's really when you start getting fringy players and you stack something like the QB1 with the RB2 and like your wide receiver 4, that's when you get the really high advance rate, finals rate type stacks. They're not the cookie cutter quarterback 1, tight end 1, wide receiver 1. You want to get a little bit more I don't want to say unique, but you just want to get a little bit more dicey with those, where you kind of go like, even like if you want to mess around with like RB3, if you want to go like RB2 wide receiver 2 QB, you can go like, I don't know. There's just a lot of different like very fringy ones that you kind of want to be trying out instead of just the very cookie cutter QB1 wide receiver 2 kind of thing, because those ones are kind of the ones that don't have a crazy advantage as opposed to just normal selection. But we're going to be picking here in, 3 picks. We have Tolbert falling way past his ADP. I'll take Tolbert if he's here. I'll take DJ Chark just because of how far past ADP we are at this point, and he kind of gives me he gives me a bring back on Fields. I do think Khalil Herbert would be fun. Let's get the tight ends off the screen. I don't need any tight ends. Kenneth Gainwell, Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams is a really tough one for me because I actually liked him early on if he still had his old ADP. He used to go as like an 18th round pick. Now he's a 14th round pick. I just don't want to pay that price, to be honest with you guys. He was already at a spot where during the season or just like this WrestleMania 3 tournament was open when he was going that late. So I think that there's a bunch of teams that probably have, like, there's a ton of teams that have him at a better price than you got him at. Not that it really matters round 14 versus round 18, but it doesn't feel great, especially when I don't have him like clearly ahead of Gainwell, Herbert, or TDP. So Darrell Williams goes there. Man, Jalen Tolbert, like 20 picks past his ADP, I think has to be the pick here, even though he doesn't really mesh with any of the stacks that I have. I'm just not sure I can pass up on a player like 20 picks past his ADP. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go Jalen Tolbert there. We'll go Cowboys and Titans. We'll get that all stacked up. Did we already have that stacked up? No. Yeah, so that's not super pretty. I do like that gives me incentive to go Dontrell Hilliard or Hassan Haskins, 2 running back targets late that I've been wanting to get more of. So we're coming back around, and yeah, I think that made sense though. We take Tolbert there at like a pretty huge discount. Yeah, we get him like a 20 pick discount, and then when we come back around, we have 4 running backs here, or 3 running backs that I'm really okay with going with between Gainwell, Herbert, and Ty Davis Price. I think how I would order those for this team, probably Gainwell, probably the order it's on the screen, because I think Gainwell at 156 ADP, and we come up on the board at 172. We're getting a pretty crazy discount on that. If that happens. And I'm also not married to needing to go Khalil Herbert because I already know this last wide receiver spot is reserved for Velus Jones and Velus Jones only. Okay, so Khalil Herbert, Kenneth Gainwell. I think I just have to go Kenneth Gainwell just because it's a more absurd sort of ADP value here, like 172 versus 156. So instead of like 11 picks of ADP, it's like 15, 16. So we'll go Gainwell. I think that's fun. He fits in with our Philly sort of thing we have going on here with Goddard. We don't have anything on the other side. This wasn't a very, for someone that stars both sides of each Week 17 game stack, we don't have a ton of Week 17 correlation at all, if I'm being honest. I'm trying to see what our stacks even are. We have Green Bay, but we have no Vikings. We have Chicago, but we have no Lions. So that's gonna have to be something that I am mindful of. Wow. So Mark Ingram's ADP has already shifted up. He's somebody that I've been trying to take more of, Mark Ingram, because I do think that Alvin Kamara suspension is happening at this point. Fuck. Let me try it. Let me show the draft board. I know you guys hate when I don't show the draft board. What was I talking about? Mark Ingram. And I think if Mark Ingram's price is getting shot up right now, I think an even better way to play that Saints backfield is to take a shot at Abram Smith, running back out of Baylor on the Saints. He's an undrafted free agent guy, but was a pretty decent prospect for where he went. He ended up getting one of the highest paying undrafted free agent contracts on the market. So that's really interesting. But we have a situation with Alvin Kamara where he's like facing a suspension. I think that there was some noise that he's facing a 6-game suspension. I actually saw, if you look at like Evan Silva's rankings on established to run, he has Mark Ingram at like RB, like I think he has him like the RB like 40 range, RB 30 range. So he has Ingram really high. He's someone that's gonna be shooting up draft boards. He's been somebody that I've been trying to get a little bit of exposure to here with the Kamara stuff, because he had, dude, I don't know what happened. He had a night out with his fellas where he like started curb stomping somebody. He got caught on film. So you have that videotape that hasn't been leaked yet, but the minute that videotape does get leaked, it's looking really rough. We saw it happen with Kareem Hunt. We saw it happen with Ray Rice. If that video gets out, it's bad. Also, he had a confirmed like orbital fracture, which is a no-no. Like you can curb stomp a guy, but you can't give him really bad damage he has to pay for with hospital bills. So he's like facing a felony at this point. I've heard from guys who like kind of work in the law sort of field that he is facing not only a potential suspension, but potential jail time. Like it could be like a Mike Vick or like Plaxico Burrows kind of thing, where he goes to jail for like a year and then comes back. It's rough, dude. Like I'm not drafting any of Alvin Kamara, but I do think Mark Ingram and Abram Smith are sort of fun dart throws at running backs. So we have 3 picks left. 2 of them need to be running backs. 2 of them need to be running backs, and 1 of them need to be wide receivers, pretty much. I am eyeing down Velus Jones. That has to be a pick for me, just to get that correlation with Fields. I think we can wait until our 18th round pick to do that. 213. It's right about. We're gonna be cutting it close there, but I think it's what has to happen. I don't want to reach on Velus Jones. I don't think anybody wants to reach on Velus Jones. Let me see. Yeah, his ADP is 214. I really don't want to have to take him at like. I don't want to have to take him at 196. I'll take him here in the 18th. And if he's not there, maybe I'll take Equinemius St. Brown. Let's look at running back, wide receiver. I guess McKissick is kind of fun. What do I... Okay, so I have Amari. That's why I have Washington starred here. I have to be honest. Outside of J.D. McKissick, there is no running back up here that I'm overly interested in or overly enthusiastic about. Who is this guy going to go with? Please don't go McKissick. I beg of you. Okay, so he doesn't go McKissick. Because McKissick's gone here. I have no clue what I'm doing. Genuinely zero idea. McKinnon would be fun if I didn't have Clyde. I don't like Raheem Mostert. I would just rather have, I just think Sony Michel's a better bet than him straight up, and McKissick goes. God damn. I guess we'll go Brian Robinson. I don't have a ton of Brian Robinson. He fits my kind of like Washington, Cleveland stack. Should I just really reach on Deonta Foreman instead? No, we'll go Brian Robinson. That's fine. We'll take a rookie running back. Now I have 3 rookie running backs plus Clyde and Kenneth Gainwell. A weird setup, but I think it's fine. This next pick I'm eyeing up, I would love to go Deonta Foreman. So this is going to be our last running back here. I would love to go Deonta Foreman. I would love to go Sony Michel. I guess Raheem Mostert could be fun. I guess I'm eyeing up Deonta Foreman. And I'm eyeing up let me just make sure real quick that Velus Jones is far enough down. I mean, his ADP is 214. Can I push it out? Can I push it out to round 18, the Velus Jones pick? I'm going Deonta Foreman here no matter what. All right, so we'll go Deonta Foreman, and we're just going to have to pray that the boy makes it back to us. I think Mostert's interesting as well, like almost 10 picks past his ADP, but I'm just not overly interested in him. All right, so we're going to go Deonta Foreman. He gives us a bring back in that Tampa Bay game. So we have the Tampa Bay, Carolina, we have Washington, and Amari Cooper versus Cleveland, a little mini correlation there. Not a ton of correlation again, but just some mini stuff on this team. So now we're set at running back. Now it's time. Now it's time to pray that we get Velus Jones on the way back, which is a pretty funny predicament to be in. But I'm not sure what else I should do here. If I should look at other teams. I don't really want to. I don't want to rate other teams. I'm trying to think through if I would have done anything differently. I think Chase was fine there. I think Debo was a smash there. I think Keenan Allen was the only reasonable pick there. I do think Kittle here might have made more sense than Deontay, but Deontay was the last guy in this area that I could that I was interested in. Again, I think that there's this huge tier break from after Deontay. From Deontay to this Allen Robinson, Brandon Cooks, Gabe Davis, Devonta Smith, Darnell Mooney tier. I think there's a huge tier break there, where I'm probably trying to jam in wide receivers until that happens. And that's why I took Deontay. But I'm trying to think through. If I took Kittle here, I probably would have taken Brees here. And instead of Goddard, I could have just taken... Yeah, there's no wide receivers there. So I don't even hate that I took... that I passed on him. I could have taken Mooney here and just gone wide receiver instead of running back. Maybe that would have made more sense, but I think I'm fine on that. I think this is a nicely constructed team. This was a spot where I didn't love it, where I thought we were going to have to go 3 quarterbacks or 3 tight ends. I like to build most of my teams with 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends. I just think that it gives you more upside in other places. I'd rather just hope that I can figure out the onesie positions in 2 picks. And if I do go with 3, then I'm like pushing it out, and I'm going like 3 super late. I'm trying to see if anybody has a good example of that. Goff, Mayfield, and Kyler. Jeez, dude. That's the spot where I'm not taking 3 quarterbacks. Like if I have Kyler, if I have Josh Allen, a lot of the utility of going quarterback that early is that you don't have to take 3, and that second quarterback can be like a Jared. You can go Jared Goff and Kyler Murray, and be set there. Now, I'm gonna be pissed if I saw somebody take Velus Jones. I didn't catch it. I will be pissed. Okay, Velus Jones is still there. Come on, Velus Jones, come to Papa, buddy. And I will say, if not Velus Jones, we can go Romeo Dubes, and it won't be the end of the world. But would love to get Velus Jones here. Come on now. Come on now. I'm begging you, please. Let me complete this stack. We'll have each quarterback stacked up, and I will be able to sleep tonight. Come on. Come on. Don't snipe me on the Velus Jones, love. Please. Please. Come on. Come on. There we go. Okay, so now we have Velus Jones. Come on down. We have Justin Fields stacked up. We have Aaron Rodgers stacked up with Tanyan. I'm going to pause this for now, and then I'll come on the other side once this draft is over and just kind of go over the team real quick, and then I'll be out of here. All right, so this is the final team, 2682, just a very classic 0 RB team where we go Rodgers and Fields up top. Super thankful that Rodgers fell to us like a round past ADP, so we didn't have to take 3 quarterbacks. We took Fields, so we get kind of a rushing Konami type guy to go with Rodgers. We stacked Rodgers with... we stacked him with Robert Tonyan, who I talked about earlier, but I think is actually drawing live for double-digit touchdowns this year, which is a really fun bet to make with Aaron Rodgers. Then we have Fields, and as I said earlier, kind of going for that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 backdoor type stack is a really good way to sort of supercharge your lineup just in terms of correlation there. Didn't get any bringbacks, right? We don't have like any Vikings. We don't have any Chicago, so that kind of sucks, but the traditional 0 RB team, we took Brees Hall a little bit earlier than like 0 RB would dictate, where I think it's like running back after round 5. We took a running back at round 5, but we got crazy value on Clyde. Rashad White was crazy value. Kenneth Gainwell was crazy value. So happy with the running back room. In the wide receiver room, like I'm almost looking at it and like, man, it's a little bit weak, but we do have Jamar Chase through Amari Cooper as our top 6 wide receivers, so that's strong. I think the strong team doesn't really stand out to be this like massively strong team on paper, but that's kind of what you get with 0 RB until a lot of these guys sort of break out and make things look sexy. So it's not my best team of all time, but I think we covered kind of a good range of sort of what I'm thinking while I'm on the clock in this draft. Again, as always, if you want to get in on the fun, go down below, use my promo code Ron. You will get a 100% deposit match up to $100 on the website. I will have a link that's in the comments. It'll be pinned on top of the comments. You click there. It'll bring you right to It'll bring you right to Underdog Fantasy with my promo code in there, and you can just download the app or go on the website right from there. So that's going to do it for us today. Also, the exposure thing that I was looking at, I'll make sure I link Brick's website down below in the comments as well if you guys want to sort of set up your exposure overlay with week 17 or week 16 matchups, all of that good stuff. But that's going to do it for us today, fellas. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you go down below, subscribe, leave a like. Also, let me know if you guys want me to do more videos like this where I just do a normal draft and talk through my thoughts. I think that it's going to be pretty valuable for a lot of you guys out there that are sickos and getting in a lot of these underdog best ball lobbies. But I do admit that's going to be sort of niche for just the sickos that are running up 50+ underdog best ball drafts this summer. So let me know what you guys thought about this video. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.
I got the juice, I got the juice. 10-0, Adams on. Foolies glad I'm home. Even my haters kinda glad I'm on. Rest in peace to my vagabond. Rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoena for misdemeanor.